Hey, my name is Robbie. I'm 24, I work in marketing, I drink too much coffee, and until about 3 months ago, I thought I had everything pretty much figured out. Boyfriend, good job. Promotion on the way, clean apartment, normal life. And then I met Lara, and now I'm here telling you this story because honestly, I still don't fully understand what happened to me. And I feel like if I say it out loud, maybe it'll start to make sense. So, from the beginning. Okay, so there's this thing that happens sometimes where you're going about your life. Your perfectly fine, perfectly normal life. And then one Tuesday morning, everything just shifts. Not dramatically. Not like in movies where the music swells and you just know. More like you're standing in a doorway, holding a coffee, and someone looks up from across the room, and something in your chest does something it has absolutely no business doing. And you think, that's weird. And then you go sit down and open your laptop and tell yourself it was nothing. It was not nothing. But I didn't know that yet. My name is Robbie. I'm 24 years old. I work at a marketing firm called Mercer & Cole. I have a boyfriend. I have a promotion I've been working toward for 3 years. And I have absolutely no idea what's about to happen to me. Let me start from the beginning. I'd been at Mercer & Cole for 3 years. 3 years of staying late, of taking on extra accounts, of being the person everyone called when something went wrong at 11 p.m. on a Friday. I was good at my job. Not good like people said I was good. Good like I knew I was good. There's a difference. So when they announced the senior director position was opening up, I wasn't surprised they called my name as a candidate. I'd earned it. I was ready for it. I had absolutely zero competition. Or so I thought. Marcus, our boss, called a team meeting on a Wednesday morning. He stood at the front of the conference room. In that way he does when he thinks he's about to say something exciting. He said the senior director role would be filled by end of quarter. He said 2 candidates had been identified. He said the first name, mine. I sat up a little straighter, tried to look professional and not like I was already mentally redecorating the corner office. And then he said the second name. I need you to understand something about Lara Reyes before I tell you the rest of this story. Lara Reyes had transferred from the London office 8 months ago. I'd seen her in the hallways. I'd been in meetings with her. I knew exactly who she was. She was the kind of person who walked into a room and somehow the room just rearranged itself around her, without her doing anything, without her even trying. She could say 4 words in a meeting, and those 4 words would end the entire conversation. Not because she was aggressive, not because she was loud, just because when Lara Reyes spoke, something about the way she said things made everything else sound like a rough draft. It was deeply, profoundly irritating, and I did not like her. That part is important. I want you to hold on to that. I did not like Lara Reyes. After the meeting, Marcus called us both into his office. He explained the terms. 1 campaign, the Hale account, a luxury real estate brand that had been trying to reach younger buyers for 2 years with absolutely zero success. Whoever delivered the stronger strategy by end of quarter would get the promotion. Simple, clean, 1 winner. I looked across at Lara. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Marcus, with that expression she always had. Completely unreadable. Like she'd already processed the information, filed it away, and moved on to the part where she figured out how to win. She just nodded, like she'd already decided, which irritated me in a way I didn't fully have words for yet. We walked out of Marcus's office together. Well, near each other. Which is not the same thing. She stopped first, right there in the middle of the hallway. I almost walked past her, and then I stopped too because, I don't know. Something made me stop. She turned slightly toward me. Not fully, just enough. And she said, and I remember this exactly, she said, I hope you don't take this personally. I looked at her. Take what personally? She almost smiled. Almost. The part where I get the promotion you want. I want to tell you I said something brilliant, something sharp and composed that made her regret opening her mouth. I smiled, very sweetly, the way you smile when you are absolutely not smiling on the inside. And I said, "Good luck, Lara." She held my gaze for exactly 1 beat longer than necessary. Then she turned and walked away. I stood there in the hallway watching her go, and the thing in my chest did that thing again. I told myself it was anger, obviously. The next 2 weeks I barely saw her. We worked separately. I built my strategy, she built hers. We were professional in meetings. We were civil in the hallways. Okay, we were barely civil, but nobody could prove that. I presented my initial Hail concept on a Thursday afternoon. It was good. I knew it was good. The room responded well. Questions, energy, people leaning forward. Everyone responded well. Except Lara sat in the back row and said absolutely nothing. Not one word. Not a nod. Not even a slight change in that perfectly composed expression. Which was somehow so much worse than criticism. I caught up with her in the hallway afterward. I still don't fully know why I did that. My feet just went in her direction. I said, "You didn't have any feedback." She kept walking. I had plenty. "Then why didn't you say anything?" She slowed slightly, didn't stop, didn't look at me. Because it wasn't the right room for it. I thought about that for the rest of the day, which was annoying because I had a campaign to build and I did not have time to think about what Lara Reyes meant by the right room. I thought about it on the drive home. My boyfriend asked how my day was. I said fine. He said I seemed distracted. I said I was just tired. I lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling. I was not tired. Monday morning, 7:30. I always come in at 7:30. It's the best part of the day, before everyone else arrives and the office gets loud and complicated. I pushed open the door to the main workspace and stopped. Lara was already there. She was sitting at a desk near the window, laptop open, coffee beside her, completely absorbed in whatever was on her screen. The morning light was coming through the glass at that angle it does in the early hours, warm and unhurried, and it was landing on the side of her face, and she looked different when she didn't know anyone was watching. The sharpness was still there, but the performance wasn't running. She wasn't being Lara Reyes, the person who ends conversations with 4 words and makes rooms rearrange themselves. She was just a person, sitting in the morning light, working. I don't know how long I stood in that doorway. Long enough. She looked up. We looked at each other. She didn't say good morning. She didn't say anything. She just moved her coffee slightly to the left, making room on the table near her, just a few inches, almost like she hadn't done it, almost like it meant nothing. I sat down. We worked in silence for 2 hours. It was the most productive 2 hours I'd had in weeks. I caught myself looking at her 3 times. I counted because I was trying to stop. I told myself I was checking if she was looking at my screen. For competitive reasons, to make sure she wasn't gathering intelligence. Obviously, she was not looking at my screen. She was completely absorbed in her own work. She did not need to look at my screen. She did not need anything. Right. 3 days later, it was 9 p.m. and neither of us had left. We hadn't talked about staying. We just both stayed. The office had emptied around us over the course of the evening, and at some point, we'd both stopped working as hard and started just existing in the same space. Which should have felt awkward. It didn't. That should have been the first sign. She was looking out the window at the city. Just for a moment, not working, just watching the lights. And then she said, out of nowhere, she said, "Do you ever wonder if you chose this or if it just happened to you?" I didn't answer right away. I looked at her instead. She was still looking at the window, like maybe she hadn't meant to say it out loud. I said, Both, I think. I think I chose it, and then it chose me back, and now I can't tell where one ends and the other starts. She turned. She looked at me. Not the way she looked at people in meetings. Not that sharp, assessing look that made everyone feel like they were being evaluated. Just looked at me, like she was actually seeing me. And I looked back. And the city lights were there behind her through the window, and it was quiet, and neither of us said anything, and I don't know how long that lasted, but it felt like something. I didn't know what. I didn't have a word for it. And then her phone rang. Just like that. She looked at the screen, stood up, moved to the other side of the office. Professional voice. Composed. The armor back on like it had never come off. I sat there. I looked at the space where she'd just been. The city lights. The quiet. I told myself it was the late hour, the exhaustion, the weird atmospheric thing that happens in offices at night when you've been staring at a screen too long and your brain starts doing strange things. I gathered my things. I went home. I got into bed next to my boyfriend and I stared at the ceiling and I thought about the campaign. Obviously. I thought about the campaign and the Hale account and the strategy and all the very normal professional things I should have been thinking about. The campaign. In the morning, Marcus called us both into his office. He said the campaign progress was strong. He said the client had seen preliminary concepts from both of us and responded well to both directions. He said the client wanted both perspectives in the final presentation. He said, and I remember his exact word, he said, "To make this work efficiently, you'll be sharing a workspace for the remainder of the project, starting Monday." I did not look at Lara. She did not look at me. I looked at my hands in my lap instead, and I thought about the morning light through the window, and the coffee moved 2 inches to the left, and 9 p.m., and the city and the quiet. I thought about the thing in my chest that had no name yet, and I thought, this is going to be a problem.